Hello, Jess here from All the Sparkle, and today I'm going to show you how to add metallic foils to an alcohol-inked background. If you follow me on Instagram or my blog, you've noticed recently that I've been using my alcohol inks a lot, and I just can't seem to put them away. The only thing that bugs me about alcohol inks is that sometimes there's a spot or two of ink that doesn't really seem to dry as quickly as the rest. And if you're not careful, that little spot can smear and totally ruin a project. So I was trying to think of what I could do to fix those wet areas, and I discovered that you can foil them. No laminator needed. So let me show you what I'm talking about. To start, I'm sharing one of my first experiments. For this panel, I'm using Ranger alcohol inks in Purple Twilight, Wild Plum, and Amethyst, along with alcohol blending solution. I wanted a really vibrant background, so I added lots of drops of ink. There's no real rhyme or reason to my process. I simply add drops of alcohol ink to Yupo paper and then add a few drops of blending solution. As the ink starts to blend, I use an air puffer to carefully move the color around. I keep my blending solution in a glass bottle with a dropper so that I can more easily control how much blending solution comes out. You can see dark edges forming on the panel where the ink is really pooling together. Those are the areas that tend to stay sticky, so for this particular technique, I added more drops of ink to build up those lines and areas. I use the air puffer to dry parts of the Yupo paper. When you're up close, you can actually see which areas are still wet, which allows you to dry some areas and leave others more wet. Next, I laid a piece of amethyst watercolor foil from Therm over the Yupo paper. I placed a piece of scrap copy paper on top and used a brayer to evenly apply pressure to the foil. You could also just use your hands to press the foil into the alcohol ink background. Next, I carefully peeled up the foil, and you can see where the foil has adhered to the ink. It almost looks like marble or granite, and I love that hint of metallic shine. This next panel is the actual panel I used for my card today. I followed the same process, but with Ranger alcohol inks in Turquoise, Indigo, Mermaid, and Aquamarine. For this panel, I wanted to see even more foil accents, so I really layered the inks to create those sticky areas. This card uses Turquoise Sea foil from Gina K's line of Thermoweb foils. It's hard to capture the metallic foil on camera, but it is absolutely gorgeous in person. I cleaned up my workspace and then got to work on the actual card. I'm using the Stacked Hearts and Love die from Simon Says stamp, along with a Thoughtful Messages stamp set. First, I die cut the Stacked Hearts die with Audrey blue cardstock and the Love die from white cardstock twice. I adhered the Love layers together to create a thicker chipboard-like sentiment. Then I trimmed the alcohol ink panel down and adhered it to a white card base. Next, I stamped the rest of the sentiment from the Thoughtful Messages set onto Audrey blue cardstock and heat embossed it with Steel Navy ultrafine embossing powder from Simon Says stamp. To assemble my card, I added liquid adhesive to the back of the Stacked Hearts die and then adhered it to the alcohol ink panel. I placed a scrap of cardstock and an acrylic block over the die to hold it in place while the glue set up. While that was drying, I added foam mounting tape to the back of my sentiment. Finally, I adhered the sentiment to finish the card. You can really see how that turquoise foil shines. As you probably noticed, there's a second clean and simple card that I created using some of the scraps from the alcohol inked background. Head to my blog for more details on that card. And that's it! If you liked my video, please give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button so you won't miss any of my future videos. YouTube is changing some of their channel rules, which is making it harder for small crafters like me to get content out there, so I greatly appreciate those who subscribe, like, or share my videos. Thanks so much for watching, have an amazing day, and happy crafting! Bye!